In today's show, we discuss what are the global implications of the Iran conflict.
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasulo, and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Taya Boya. Taya, hello, my friend, once again. I hope you keep safe and well.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Hello, audience.
Yay!
Oh, God. Are you going to ever stop that?
No
Anyway.
prompting either. Woo!
Naff off, Tony. Anyway, I invite the audience to subscribe to our show. And according to a recent time-honored legend, it claims that subscribing to the TNT Talk Show increases cognitive function of pets by an unspecified but small degree. So it's noticeable, but it's a small degree.
Okay.
In short, if your pet suddenly starts speaking to you in human speech, thank you for subscribing, but your pet's new demonic abilities have nothing to do with us. Okay? you take care and God bless. That's all I can say.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, don't be dissuaded from liking, commenting, and subscribing to our show, despite...
Just have some holy water at hand. That's all I'm saying.
You want to encourage our listeners and viewers to subscribe. Don't put them off with horror stories, Tayo.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Today's topic. Now, this one has obviously sort of jumped in because of what's happening around the world at the moment. So we wanted to discuss it. And it is, what are the global implications of the Iran conflict? Now, Taya, you were the first. You wanted to discuss this, obviously jump it in front of the other topics we were going to cover. So why did you want to bring this one up now?
Because I feel there's some unexpected, the people in Washington who went along with, supposedly, because we don't know, we weren't there, we weren't in the room, supposedly this is Bibi Netanyahu's war, is an Israeli war. It's not really an American war, because let's face it, America was really never under direct threat from Iran. So those who claim to know, the pundits out there, the wise guys, so to speak, they say that this is Netanyahu's war, and Netanyahu wants war because he wants to stay out of jail. So
what do you mean by that? For our listeners who are a bit confused by that statement, what do you mean going to war means he'll stay out of jail? Isn't he the Prime Minister of Israel?
He is, but he's under indictment for corruption, and the only thing that's keeping him from going to trial is the fact that you can't take a sitting prime minister to court. So as long as he's prime minister, he's fine. The problem is that's like holding a tiger by the tail. How long are you going to be able to keep that up for? At some point in time, you got to let go. So but he's hanging on for as long as possible, and this is why he's had to make. This is why he's had to make a, what is the word I'm looking for? To make nice is the colloquial expression. To make nice with people he probably would rather not, which are these extreme right wingers in the cabinet, because he's not. I mean, he's not a nice guy in my opinion. But he's probably not as way out there as some of his colleagues in the cabinet that he's had to bring into the government just to keep him in office. So they've got him by the short and curlies, which is why they make all these outrageous demands, which is why he can't really stop them in any way. And in turn, he leverages whatever seeming hold he has on Trump. Now, whether that hold is there or not. Or maybe it's just there because we perceive it to be there. Because Trump's actions are otherwise almost incomprehensible as to why he'd get involved in this nonsense. We don't know. So all we know is that this seems to be the order of affairs. It's not.
You seem
truly
to sound a little bit sympathetic for Bibi Netanyahu's sort of plight.
No, I'm not.
sensing
I'm
that.
not. I mean,
okay.
he's a terrible human being, and if you've done something wrong, you man up and you face the consequences. You don't run around causing deaths of hundreds of thousands of people.
Do you
So-
think that if, I mean, obviously we're sort of covering this conflict, but the reasons behind it perhaps could be that Netanyahu is clinging to power. But do you think that if he succeeds in his quest, which is like a quest to overthrow Iran and change the regime and make it a more Western friendly regime, including towards Israel, do you think he's hoping for clemency for his stint in Parliament when he does go under the watchful eye of his peers?
Well, I don't believe that. It is possible that he'd be such a hero that it'd be impossible to prosecute him.
Sentence yeah.
It would be impossible to prosecute him. But you've got to understand that Israel is what? 9 million people, is it? 9,
Yeah.
12 million people?
9.
And Iran is 90 million? And apparently Iran is about the same size as France or something. I mean, it's really big. And Israel is really small. You're not going to waltz into Iran like you did Iraq. That's not going to happen. And to make matters worse, Iran has got the full backing of China and Russia, which Iraq didn't have. So it's more like a question of dragging out the war. Is it really in his interest to bring the war to a resolution even? Or is it in his interest to just let there be just a lot of chaos, a lot of trouble?
I'm
And
not seeing what that would gain him long term.
Well,
I could see them being a foe in the region, which are sort of not direct. Well, they're not.
who's
public
they,
in
by
the
the way? You said they.
Iran.
Okay.
Iran.
Hmm.
They're not going to say it publicly, but obviously because of their proxy allies like Hezbollah and etc., who have constantly fired at Israel. Israel believe that if they decapitate Iran, then those proxy organizations won't get the funding and they'll just collapse, because the only reason they've been a thorn in Israel's side has been the backing from Iran. So now they've taken this opportunity, clearly not by themselves, by involving the US to help them actually get this done. Because he maybe knows his time's running out, so he wanted to bring this forward, involve America, make it seem like the threat was against America to get their buy-in, and together cause as much damage to Iran as possible to sort of destabilize it and in fact make the regime change. Although personally speaking, I don't believe you can elicit a regime change just from the air. You'd need boots on the ground, and there's no will from anybody to do that. So this idea of bombing the hell out of Iran as a potential regime change, in my opinion, it's never going to happen. And there isn't any organised replacement in the country that's been somehow repressed that could stand up now against the weakened regime. I don't see it. So I think the regime will just pick up the pieces and carry on, and it could end up being even worse than the existing one.
Well, he was outside the gates of Baghdad. Is it Baghdad? Where's Baghdad? Is it in Iraq?
Baghdad is Iraq.
It's Iraq, sorry. He was outside the gates of where was Bashar Assad? What was the name? What Tripoli? Was
Syria.
it Tripoli? Yeah.
Syria.
What was the capital? What is the capital
Of Syria.
I'm saying Tripoli. Was it Tripoli?
Tripoli is Algeria, isn't it? Or yeah,
two
Tripoli's
old
definitely
fogies.
not Syria anyway.
Anyway, he was outside sitting
Damascus.
on there we go. Well done. You've probably been there.
Not a holiday destination.
Oh, it was this time, right? Okay. Yes, it was sitting outside Damascus for quite a long time. Not directly, but how long did it take it to bring down Bashar Assad? So he might be thinking in terms of years. It's the Americans who want to get out because Donald Trump has got the pesky little problem of the midterms coming up. That said, one of the outlandish side effects of this could be, believe it or not, a Donald Trump third term.
Oh no. No.
It could be a Donald Trump.
A war presidency. You can't have
a war president, because if he's given the emergency powers to prosecute this war, because let's say the war is not going well and Americans tend to double down rather than getting out, then he could say, well, the trouble is, you see, I would have won the war, but you people are tying my hands behind my back. I can't fight it the way I want to. Let me send troops in and this and that. Now, if you give me the war powers, I'll get it done by Christmas. And then he doesn't get it done by Christmas, but by that time he's got the war powers. So he suspends the midterms, and he just
I'm
keeps...
not sure, because even his sorry, I'm going to say this, but the puppets in Congress, they're backing him every move he makes. They are not countering him with very little pushback. So he's doing what he wants, but even they would have to sign off on giving him war powers. And I think it's not a straight majority. I think it could be a bit more than that as far as the House
2/3 majority or something.
There you go.
Like
and he's never going to get that. So that is a long shot. I get it.
It's a long shot, but I'm just... that's why I called it outlandish.
Yeah.
No, that's why I called it outlandish. It's one of the sort of lesser possibilities, but I'm just putting on the table that, look, if it happens, you heard it on the TNT talk show. So like, oh, those guys nailed it, man. How? Well, we've got these scientists, we've got these people who do research for us. So that's a possibility. That's one possibility. The counter to that is what's Iran's game? I think Iran's game is the long game. They've been expecting this for a while. I'm sure the Russians and the Chinese, they were all sitting down together, all three of them, and they were hammering out the details and saying, look, this is what's most likely to happen. You can't really fight off the Americans in the air for a prolonged period of time, but what you can do is to not go under. And the longer you hang in there, the more you're winning. Yes. Because you're not going to invade America. That's not going to happen in a million years. No. So what you're going to do is you're going to hang in there and hang in there and hang in there, much like the Vietnamese, the North Vietnamese did, absolutely. Until you've exhausted the Americans, and the Americans just go, you know what, And in the meantime, if you've closed off 20% of the world's oil coming out through the Straits of Hormuz, and what they did the other day, they attacked Aramco's main installation in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. So you do that, and then you just start spreading the joy. So just I'm being a bit...
Do you know what? Talking on that actually really surprised me. Because such an important piece of infrastructure, isn't it the biggest?
Yes, the biggest in the world, I think.
Biggest in the world.
Oil refinery in the world.
Without adequate air protection?
No, they had adequate air protection, but the Iranians have got hypersonics. You can't really stop them.
You can't stop the missiles. Hypersonics? I'm pretty sure they haven't.
They do have hypersonics. I've seen... No, I didn't get it from Russia. They had it... I don't know where they got it from, but they showed it to us in June 2025. And there's a fantastic video, a wonderful video of a hypersonic coming into Tel Aviv, and 11 interceptors were shot at this thing. 11. And all of them missed. And when a hypersonic hits, it's not like a movie explosion. It's a new kind of explosion. You know you're seeing something new. Have you not seen the video?
I haven't, no.
I'll send you the video.
Yeah,
I don't know. We can't share
it. Why?
How? How do we share videos?
If it's a YouTube video.
It's not a YouTube video.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
It must be on.
It must be on YouTube, though, I suppose. So I could
if
find
we can
it.
find it on YouTube, then we can share it in the blurb.
But I want to show you more than one. I wanted, when they land, they hit differently. It's a different kind of thing. There's one that hit one of the American air bases. I forget where this air base is. It's
what, in the conflict now? You mean
in the conflict now? It had an American.
In Kuwait? Was it in Kuwait?
Where they have a large one? Is it not Bahrain? Bahrain is where they have the large port. But where do they have a large?
In Qatar.
Is Qatar where they hit the one in Qatar? This thing, this blooming explosion started at one end of the runway and just kind of just traveled down the entire length of the runway. It was the most astonishing thing I've seen, and a sort of very white light. It's just weird. It's just something we've not seen before. You know you're looking at something new. It's just like, whoa. It's amazing. So they've got these things, and I think what they're doing is that they just, they've got this, I don't know if you've heard of it, the pyramid and the, not marble, mosaic. Pyramid and mosaic. This was what, not Rafsanjani, Ayatollah Khamenei, the guy who killed, who died on, it was just assassinated on Saturday. This is what he was working on. Four levels of pyramid. The top echelon, if they die, the next echelon takes over. If they die, the next echelon. So it's already set.
So
it's like a dead man's hand. Yeah. So it's a dead man's hand. But each level is also a mosaic. So on every level, there are independent operators, semi-independent operators that know what to do, even if they can't talk to anyone.
Right.
So it doesn't even, so you collapsing it, you're causing more mayhem. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. Because now you're getting down to people who can independently fire and they're not waiting for any orders.
Yeah.
You can't even negotiate with them because you've killed all the people.
There's nobody in direct charge. They're there to defend their Islamic State, whatever's left of it. The thing is, I understand if they have got these ballistic missiles that are more powerful, but what they don't have is an air defense. And the problem with if in that case for Iran, from Iran's point of view, is they cannot defend their infrastructure. And if Israel and the US warplanes have got complete air dominance over Iranian skies, they can hit everything over a period of time. So it's not like they will be able to receive the bombs and the missiles on their territory or bases, because if the planes are literally going across with impunity without being hit out because all their ballistic missiles and drones have been taken out already, then Iran really has a problem, because where can they hide their missiles? Because yes, you can hide them to a degree, but when they're fired off, the satellites will pick them up and then tell Central Command of the US and Israel where they're located, and they'll be taken out in the next sortie. So there will be a point where these ballistic missiles, or wherever they are, will be no longer viable. And this is the concern, because the air defences have been taken out. I mean, even today, they've now hit over 1,700. I mean, while we're recording the show, it's the 3rd of March, 2026. And reports are saying that they've hit over 1,700 targets within Iran. Now, granted, Iran's a big country, and there's probably many, many more. But this is a huge number in such a short time frame. So there will come a point where they're going to be ineffective, and Israel and the US can literally take out any target with impunity without any resistance whatsoever. And that's not a good position.
So I'm not sure what these 1,700 targets are. If you think about it, the Americans were taking out similar numbers, relatively speaking, relative to the sizes of the countries involved, both in Vietnam and in Afghanistan. What did it lead to? It's you can't bomb your way into success. Like, I think, did you say that in this?
Yeah, I said that in the show.
You can't bomb your way to success. The point is this: it's not the missile. It's not you should try to get the missiles, but it's really hard to get the missiles. So what they do is they get the launchers, because the launchers are more static.
Yes.
And if you take out the launcher, then you've taken out the
missiles.
The ability to fire the missiles. Okay. So we don't know. I don't know, for example, what Iran has done about that, because that's what hampered them in June last year. But I do know that they've had a lot of Chinese help, and I don't know what the Chinese have done to help them. Furthermore, they've got a lot of missiles and drones and so on and so forth that they haven't even fired yet. And that furthermore, I'm told, I don't know, I'm repeating what I've heard, so you can treat this as a rumor. I have no idea if it's true or not, that they have about 3 or 4 new weapons that they haven't even fired yet. That what they're doing now is they're studying and locating where defense missiles are. The Israeli ones and the American ones. They've taken American radar, the largest radar installation in the Middle East, I believe. They took it out. This was with the help of the Chinese. The Chinese are keeping very quiet, and I want to talk about the Chinese a bit later on, because they are seriously in the background. They're doing something. They're like, nothing to see here, guys. But there's a lot to see there. What's going on? Anyway, they've taken out these radars, and I think they're still doing that. And listen to this. If what you're saying is true, there wouldn't be a reason for America to be trying to denude South Korea and even the Europeans of their THAAD missiles, THAAD systems, the THAAD. What is it? Something ultra high altitude defense. This is the anti-ballistic missile system that America has. And I was just thinking about it. I don't know how to present it, but I'm just imagining that you have a fly's view. What's it called? A fly's view? Yeah, like a fly on the wall in Kim Jong-un's office in North Korea. And he gets a sheet of paper and looks at the sheet of paper and he goes, sir, your Supreme Leader, Your Excellency, we've just heard that America is removing and taking away all its THAAD systems from South Korea. And we'd like to, your Supreme Leaders, your wise and wonderful words on what you think that means. And he goes, a
James Bond villain.
What's that? Austin Powers and Dr. Evil. It's like, what's America doing, man? And what happened to the war in Iraq? Why don't you finish one before you start another one?
I know.
You haven't finished Ukraine.
I know.
What were you doing?
Ridiculous. Although you've just raised an interesting point about China. China are a bit stuck in this because 40% of their oil comes from the Gulf.
No, 40% of the seaborne oil.
Seaborne oil.
Very important little important little thing, detail. And I'll tell you why I'll tell you why I'm saying it like this. Very important little detail.
Okay.
Because what you don't know is that our coal is 50% of our we have coal.
Yeah.
50% of our energy posture. 50%. And then we've got Russian gas and Russian oil.
Yes. It's not going to go up in smoke, literally, pardon the pun.
And they were stockpiling.
Yes.
They didn't even blink when Venezuela had problems, and we were all saying, why don't they defend Venezuela? They didn't have to. No. And then there was some kind of sweetheart deal that they kept shtum about. Do you know the sweetheart deal?
No.
Do you know they're still getting Venezuelan oil?
No.
You didn't know that?
No.
Very few people know that. Do you know where they're getting it from?
The US.
Of course.
You know why? Because I think the US are not stupid. They still get their stuff from China. They don't want to sort of damage them too much, because at the end of the day, if China stopped producing goods for the US market, the US market would be dead in the water. So
No, it
they're
wouldn't
not
stop
stupid.
because of Venezuelan oil. It was only 4% of Chinese oil imports. 4% was neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But it was just some kind of sweet. They didn't mention it. Those meetings they had in Vienna, somebody said, "Oh, about this Venezuelan oil. We happen to have Venezuelan oil." And you go,
Yeah.
"Oh yes, all right. Well, we'll buy. Finish."
Yeah. There is something because of this. It is 40% of sea-based oil. I get that. But there's some other plan afoot here because something is really interesting regarding both Russia and China's role in this. Because they signed this agreement with Iran to defend them in a way. But it's not really going to plan because they obviously have their own challenges and they don't want to. They want to jump in. Russia certainly doesn't, and neither does China. But what I think China is doing, I think China is actually looking at this incident and assessing what America's strategic power is, and they're also looking at the Taiwan angle, because if America is already involved in this battle in Iran, and obviously they've, as you've already alluded to, they've still got the ongoing issue with Ukraine, they'll be stretched too thin to consider Taiwan.
There is no way that China is going to attack Taiwan. No way. I'm
not saying they're attacking them. I think all they're doing is seeing how America and their technology is working, so they're learning.
No, even if they knew for certain that America couldn't do anything to defend Taiwan, they're still not going to go into Taiwan. They're not going to take Taiwan by force. Xi Jinping has said that Taiwan is China. And they're not going to wreck China because of the interference of foreigners. They don't have to. Over a period of time, Taiwan will naturally reintegrate with the mainland. As the red line, which can trigger an automatic war, and they've made it clear it's automatic, is for Taiwan to declare independence.
Right.
That's the tripwire. That's the red line. If they don't declare independence, the feeling is 10 years, 15, 20, whenever, eventually Taiwan will just fold back into China because it is China. By the way, the amount of business that's done between Taiwan and China is, I believe,
huge.
It's fantastic, and it's visa-free travel and all sorts of things. It's not really the big fuss that we seem to think it is. So no one is going to destroy such an industrial complex and a business center, huge business center. We're not going to burn it down just to please foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not an issue. But when you talk about they're watching the Americans, yeah, they're like on. They've got spy ships and drones and satellites and goodness knows what. They're really like something that you'd enjoy as a metaphor. They're all over the Americans in the Red Sea like sauce and spaghetti. You can't get it. You can't get it off, man. you can't get it off. They're all over them, and they're watching everything. I mean, they're the ones that gave. You must have heard of this. It's pretty well known that they gave Iran the locations of all these missile sites and everything.
That's
Of
right.
extremely high definition pictures and so on and so forth. So, by the way, when you were saying they've got a kind of like a defense, not treaty, but whatever, understanding. Do you know who was dragging their heels even after June last year? The Iranians.
Really?
The Iranians were dragging the Iranians they're not really into agreements with foreigners. They themselves, they don't like it. They got burnt once by Russia and they haven't really forgiven the Russians. And when push comes to shove, they don't totally trust the Chinese. So these people were offering them weapons and a closer integration, and the Iranians were like, no. But it's understandable. You know why? Because the Iranians are not faking it when it comes to religion. We've forgotten in the West. So many in the West are nominally this or that. Nominally Christian, nominally Muslim, nominally Buddhist, but they don't really practice. It's just it's a label that they wear. But these people are not wearing a label. These people, this is their faith. They really strongly believe in it. And who are the Russians and who are the Chinese? Infidels.
Yeah. Bottom line.
Bottom
that's
line.
why BRICS isn't going to work full. It isn't. And there's a couple of conspiracies are going afoot, by the way, which I will touch on during this.
Yeah, we love conspiracies on this show anyway.
Well, we can do, yeah. One of them is Iran the bait? Did China encourage Iran's escalations to lure the US back into a $1 trillion Middle East quagmire? While the US spends expensive missiles on desert bunkers, China is go on. I'm going
to reveal something that I wasn't going to reveal until it was totally done. Okay. I have come up with the mother of all conspiracies. And I'm writing it up, right? And I was going to share it with you first, and then talk about how we're going to discuss it and release it on the TNT talk show. I'm not going to talk about it too much.
Okay.
But you are right that there is a hidden hand in all this.
Okay.
I have identified the hidden hand.
Ooh.
And the mere fact that you haven't thought of it, and no one else has thought of it, proves that I am right.
That's a weak justification.
Well, the best conspiracies are the ones you never see.
Yeah,
and you see, the pieces have all been in front of you. They were all there. Okay. Epstein and this and that and everything. It's all there. And then you just go back. Ah. Okay. And what you're saying now is you're very, very close. You just got the wrong party. You're very close. It was never planned. I'm going to give too much away. No, okay. Oh no, I don't want.
You can't leave. Our audience are now at their listening to their devices. They're going to throw them out the window unless you reveal it. Now you've just gone too far. Come on.
No. They'll figure it out if I say anything else. I don't. I want to review because it's my thing. There are people out there who will be. They'll publish first, and they'll get all the glory. Just be like, that was me. Yeah, it was you and your big mouth on the TNT talk show. Man. You shut up, man. So no, I think you're definitely onto something there. It's just you've got to imagine people who are so clever that everybody got to think that they're masters of their own fate. Netanyahu has to think he's a master of his own fate. Now, maybe Trump understands that he's being bullied or blackmailed or whatever. Maybe he isn't. I don't know. I don't really know because it's not easy. It's not easy with Trump. No, it's not even that easy. You might not even need to bully or blackmail him. I mean, Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, I believe, has just gotten a $2 billion investment from Qatar or somewhere.
Yeah, for crypto.
Yeah? $2 billion.
Do you know? I know, but this is mad. Because you know why? Do you know why? Because he's got a crypto company, and they bet on when the first missiles will be shot. They bet. Yeah, exactly. They bet, and it came, and Qatar invested the money. I don't know the exact details, but I heard this was happening into that company. Isn't this a conflict of interest? Because
isn't it a conflict of interest?
Just a bit. I mean, Jared Kushner he would know because Trump could have told him.
What do you mean he would know? He probably told the guy when to start it. So no, Dad. Probably calls him Dad or something. No, Dad, I said 1:30. 1:30.
Honestly, they have bet. There's been betting on
how can you even bet? Who bet? By the way, who was dumb enough to bet against Kushner? Because he's the son-in-law. He knows when the blooming thing.
No.
Allegedly.
They were putting the money in because they were betting. It's part of the crypto. They were saying when the first ones are going to be fired, you're going to get a return on the investment if you blah, blah, blah. And companies have been piling money in. So remember, every time there's a war, you have to follow the money. And the money
nobody tells me anything.
Well,
If they knew, I'd take my £50 that I've still got left and throw it in there, man. I make £52. I'll be rich, I tells you.
Honestly, there's some really underhand stuff going on.
And then this thing that I was laughing at when I first heard of it, now I'm not so sure whether I should even be laughing. This Gaza Riviera or whatever the rubbish he was talking about.
That I think is going to happen. This is all a master plan.
This is some... It's as if we're back in the 17th century or 16th century when they were just running around killing all the Native Americans and anything and doing whatever the hell they wanted. Haven't we made any progress in 300-400 years?
Well, this is where I'm thinking that this Gaza Riviera will happen, and it was a master plan all along. And the only obstacle that was left was Hezbollah. And because Hezbollah, imagine Hezbollah bombing, if Gaza was taken by the Israelis and the people were displaced to the West Bank, for instance, then that would all be Israeli region, and that's where it would all be built up and made into rich real estate. Now, you wouldn't want Hezbollah bombing rich real estate because they'll be able to. So the way of getting rid of Hezbollah is to get rid of Iran. So that's the part of the journey. So part of this is all to do with real estate and investments and building stuff and getting pipes of oil to different locations. And so Gaza was a problem, but you also had to stop the fighting from Hezbollah and their sponsors, Iran. So get rid of Iran, decapitate them, try and put a Western-leaning administration in there, so no longer will they fund Hezbollah, and then they can carry on with their master plan of displacing the Palestinians in Gaza, push them all to the West Bank, then offer them the sweetener and go, hey, you can have a two-state solution in West Bank as long as we can have Gaza. And then they get their own state. Now, would the Palestinians who then get displaced want their own state? Of course they would. They'd have their own country at last. And that's the sweetener. You leave Gaza, but we'll recognise your state of Palestine in the West Bank as long as we get Gaza. And that's the master plan. But in order to do that, they have to displace them and get rid of Hezbollah, which means get rid of Iran. That's the conspiracy. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. It's really...
It certainly makes more sense than other plans, because otherwise what Trump is doing doesn't make any sense. But for this at least makes sense of the situation.
It does. But there's an interesting thing I found out today, which is really, really interesting. At the moment, the Iranian regime has knocked out the internet. They can control it. It's like an intranet. In other words, it's not an internet, because when they close it off, nobody can communicate. No one. So what's happened in the last few weeks? The Starlink has positioned a number of satellites above Iran, and they have smuggled in loads of the receivers.
No, that's 40,000. That was months ago.
That was months ago. But now Starlink have brought out a new feature that doesn't need the receiver. You can do it from a mobile phone itself by reconfiguring it. So there's no need to have the receiver. You can communicate through the Starlink satellites using a standard mobile phone with a little bit of jiggery-pokery, of course, but nothing that nobody... it's too difficult to do. It can be done. And they've been passing messages in Telegram trying to get it through into the country for people to do this, to then communicate. Because then that way, you're starting to connect the dots and get people mobilized. Because at the minute, with an internet blackout, it prevents people from communicating. And that's one of the Iranian secret weapons to keep their population in the dark, is to cut off the internet. But this solution allows ordinary people to communicate with one another, and so being able to rise up, if that's the plan, against the sort of damaged regime. Although I still think it's far-fetched they can overthrow their own government, because even though it's wounded, I still think the what's the guard corps? The
Islamic IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Council.
Guards, yeah, they're the most well paid, the most looked after. They're not likely to sort of hand their arms in, and that's an elite fighting brigade. They're not going to hand their arms in, so they'll be there to fight and restore order. So the normal public, no matter how mobilised they'll be, they won't get past the IRGC. So,
well, in any case, after Khamenei was assassinated, Trump thought that people were going to take to the streets and be celebrating, and that was going to lead to the downfall of the regime. They like to call it the regime. I don't know why it's a regime in Tehran, but it's not a regime in Washington. Seems to me that Washington is more of a regime right now than anywhere else. Anyway, that's what they were expecting. What they got instead was tens of people, maybe hundreds, at a stretch of people celebrating, but thousands, hundreds of thousands of people screaming for revenge. And the Shia are 300 million worldwide, Shia Muslims.
Yeah.
And you just went and killed their head. It's like killing the Pope. And they killed Khamenei in the middle of Ramadan, the month of fasting.
No.
So that's like killing the Pope during Lent. You're not going to be making friends with the Catholics, no matter what you thought you'd be achieving. And as I've said, these are people who are serious about the religion. So the new man will probably declare a jihad. I think he's going to declare a jihad. And this is where you heard it first, was TNT Talk Show. My expectation is you're going to hear the declaration of a jihad, which means that worldwide, where the Shia find Americans is going to be a problem. Doesn't matter where you are. It could be streets of London, it could be Nigeria, it could be Mexico. It doesn't matter. You're American and I'm there's a jihad against you. That's number one. Number two, he's probably going to rescind Khamenei's fatwa on developing a nuclear weapon, because the next person who's likely to be the new supreme leader is a hardliner. So you went and you killed what's somebody who's not a hardliner? Sorry?
Oh, well, he's not a hardliner. He's just
a moderate. You went and killed the moderate,
I wouldn't
right?
say he was a moderate.
He was a moderate because he was always against the nuclear weapon.
Yeah,
he
but
was
that doesn't
genuinely
make him
against
a
it.
moderate. That's just him against that because he thought it was an unholy weapon.
Well, what makes him not a moderate then?
If
What makes him a
he wasn't
hardliner?
moderate, he wouldn't have attacked all his own people, would he?
Yeah,
The
if
ones
people
that
are causing,
stood
if
up.
people, I would, because I'm very against people being teleguided by foreigners. You when you stand up and you protest, you've got to do it because it's something for the country, and you're not being teleguided.
How do we know they're teleguided?
Because
there's thousands
because
of them.
they had Starlink. That's how you
They
know.
didn't have it then.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about when they were rioting last year. They had Starlink.
What, the satellite receivers?
Yeah,
They didn't
yeah.
have it then. It's only happened in the last 2 months.
Last
So it
year was the
wasn't
last
when-
3 months.
What, in January, you mean, when they had all the...
Yeah, when Trump said they should rise up and do something, and the idiots went out onto the streets, never asking themselves where are all these satellite links and phones and whatever it is and laptops coming from? Who's giving them to us and why? You're clearly being teleguided. So who do you think you are to go and start causing problems? How many times have we seen color revolutions where the people stage a color revolution and then they end up weeping because these clowns come in and take over the country and they don't love you. They don't care about your so-called democracy. Ask the Iraqis. Ask the Ukrainians. They had their Maidan moment and they were happily eating what's her name's cookies. I've forgotten her name now. The woman with the face of a I don't know. She had the voice of. She had the voice of the ambassador at the time to Ukraine, the American ambassador to Ukraine, who went to the Maidan Square and was handing out cookies.
the one that was caught on that phone call.
Yes,
Madison Albright.
No. That's a different kettle of fish. That's Iraq War. Wherever she was, we know her. She face like a hawk like this. Voice of an angel. The most amazingly pleasant voice you've ever heard in your life. Sweet, sweet voice. Soul of a demon. It's just a horrible, horrible person. And she was handing out, and they were eating these cookies. It's like, why are Americans handing out cookies? That's where you go home. You go, oh gosh, she's an American. She's handing out cookies. I must be in the wrong rally. I'm being teleguided here. They didn't. Now they've lost 1.6 million people on the battlefield. And America is turned again, has forgotten them, dropped them like a hot potato, and is now off to bother the Iranians on behalf of Israel.
Yeah. There is something as well that's been put in. They've got this interim leadership council in Iran at the minute. It's made up of 3 people: the president, the judiciary chief, and a senior cleric.
I didn't know that, but okay.
Yeah. Now, there's secret ties rumor. This has come out of. It's not come out of thin air. It's been brewing, and they're saying that someone within the high leadership of Iran is actually got secret ties to the West.
To Mossad.
Well.
Yeah,
now,
but they've arrested him, haven't they?
No, they haven't. They don't know who it is yet. Now, the thing is this evidence that there is, in fact, someone in the government that is linked to Mossad, or is this a destabilization technique? Because if you start planting the seed that there's somebody in your midst that could be a stooge, a mule, or a spy, you're going to start looking at everybody differently, and you'll start being not desperate, but you'll start to be paranoid as to who's passing on our information, and they could actually turn on their own people. That's what paranoia does, and rumor can cause that. And this is a psyops. That could be a psyops trap that sort of is been fed to the remaining members of the administration, making them believe that there's a mole somewhere in their midst, and therefore they're going to get paranoid, thinking, well, how did our leader get killed if there wasn't a mole? There must be a mole. Who is it? And they're going to start mistrusting everyone, which could be a real problem, because they could end up damaging themselves from within. And that's when instability starts. And clearly, it could be a psychological operation by the West in order to plant this problem. It wouldn't surprise me, let's put it that way, if that is the case. So, it would certainly embolden some of the more hardliners in the Iranian government, if you want to call it that, because they would want to cleanse any chance of there being somebody in there who's a traitor. And that could be a real problem if that happens.
So on the 1st of March, which is a couple of days ago now, we had a rumor. I actually got it as a report, but it's not been officially confirmed, that a man called Esmail Khani, Esmail, Esmail Khani's Qaani, the commander of Iran's Quds force, was arrested by the IRGC on suspicions of being a Mossad tie. See, he survived many assassination attempts, and he survived the bombing on Khamenei's residence, where Khamenei was killed. And I think this is what the report that I read said, that the lack of serious injury and the fact that he's been able to avoid so many assassinations has led to certain questions, because somebody high up is certainly telling the Israelis quite a lot.
Well, clearly, how are they getting this information? Every country's doing it, but the Israelis are pretty good at it. But they don't do it where you're getting someone a sweetener. They do it because they're holding something against them. That's their
Well,
more
whatever
their
it
way.
is, if they've got him, the way they're going to ask questions is not going to be pleasant, and eventually he's going to squeal. So we'll find out. Or they might not want to admit that they had such a high level mole,
No, they're never going to do
and
that.
they'll probably just make him seem like he's fine, that he's been interrogated, but he won't. He won't even know what time of day it is after that. Something like that. So I don't know. So anyway, going back just a little bit, just to for the people who are wondering, who were we talking about? We were talking about a woman who was handing out cookies at the Maidan Square. Her name was
In
Victoria
Ukraine.
Newland.
Oh, Victoria Newland, that was it.
Victoria Newland.
She was the one that was caught, that phone call that was leaked.
Famous phone call where she was telling. No, yes, she was.
Yeah,
she was
telling
discussing
them,
who was
"You're
going to
putting
be.
this person in place."
Well, she was talking to another American. She was talking to her deputy. And she was basically saying, the deputy was saying, well, this person is acceptable and that person is acceptable to the Europeans. And then she basically said, I'm going to be more polite than she was. Never mind the Europeans.
Yes.
But she didn't say it like that. She said, never mind the Europeans. Who cares what the Europeans want? This is the person who's going to be
I think the word she used started with an F and ended in yeah.
in a K. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, it was a bit disparaging, and that was leaked, that conversation, and it showed that they were trying to position their own people in the Ukrainian government.
Well, they did position it. The guy who took over was Poroshenko, Viktor Poroshenko.
Yeah, but the CIA do this all the time, do they not?
Yeah, well, they love to. I mean, I don't know what kind of deal they made with the woman who's now heading Venezuela. See, there was something I didn't know. I know it's not part of what we're talking about. There's something I didn't know. I didn't know that Maduro had lost an election.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I would never have supported him.
Oh no, he lost the election.
He
That's
lost
the
an
whole point.
election. He
Yeah.
lost an election and didn't recognize the results.
No.
No. I don't support. So no, that's his problem now. When I found out, I was like, oh, you shouldn't have been president. You lost
No,
the election. Go home.
Yeah, no, he lost the election, but didn't respond. But it said that no, he won, and didn't, and that's where the hoo-ha all started, because he'd been in power before and then lost, but didn't accept it and just carried on, and that's the problem. So yeah.
That's his problem. So once I found out, he lost all my support, 100%, no, zero. I mean, that doesn't mean that America can go in and kidnap him,
No.
but it's no more sympathy. I'm not sympathetic to his case.
Have you heard the other rumor about the extraction of defectors in Iran? I know we're focusing highly on Iran rather than because we wanted this to be
didn't know
more
about.
global. But
No, I've not heard about that at all.
yeah, they were thinking, because the UN were involved here, because of this school that was killed.
Oh,
The U-
yeah.
yeah,
The
which
children,
was
the
terrible.
kids, girls.
Yeah. So the UN rights chief, his name's Volker Turk, has called for immediate safe zones within Iran, so that people who want to get away, civilians, and also deliver a medical aid in through those safe zones, they need to be created. And they're saying that there's about 30,000 people displaced in the last 72 hours. So, rather than get these people to suffer, create these zones, these safe zones. And they want to do that, and so that if they need to, some who are needing of medical assistance could be escorted out the country. That was the idea. Not everybody, but just the ones who have been maimed, injured, blah, blah, blah. So less suffering. Okay? However, the rumour has it that there are actually these zones that have been highlighted by the UN are secretly, or can be used as extraction routes for high-ranking Iranian defectors that want to come out. So they are going to be within the safe zones as normal citizens trying to get out, but they're doing it in a manner that can be done under the noses of the Iranians. But whether that is true, whether that can even be implemented, whether it's even a strategic possibility, I don't know. But the rumor has it that if that is the case, the Americans would agree to it, because that would be the mechanism to extract defectors if they had the opportunity.
Well,
and then those defectors could be remobilized to undermine the regime even more.
well, if the IRGC didn't know about it, they do now. The blabbermouths on the TNT talk show. Oh my God! What are these people? A bunch of idiots! They just hear something and go, don't they think? Oh God! Back to plan. Back to square one. How did we get our people out? Look, man.
We shouldn't be laughing. This is not a good.
I didn't say anything. I'm just pointing out that, dude. Maybe not. Maybe don't say such.
Well, I'm just relaying the information I've researched. I mean, it's not for me to research it. It must
It's
be
got
in the
to be
public
online
domain.
already. Okay, so it's not.
It's in the public domain.
Okay.
I haven't rung up somebody I know in Iran and said this is what they're planning on doing. I've
Okay,
got this
fair
in the
enough.
public domain. I mean, come on. I'm just relaying.
What do you think is going to happen to our? Are you buying fuel? Are you filling up your car because of the expected hike in petrol prices and so on
Well,
and
it's
so
already
forth?
gone up, hasn't it?
Yeah, but it's just that this is the beginning.
I know.
Was it Forbes? No, Bloomberg. Bloomberg says it's going to take about 2 weeks for us to feel the effects.
That's what will stop Trump. It won't be missiles. It won't be any negotiation. It will be the pressure that the fuel prices on the American people. And that's when the Americans are directly affected in their pocket. And as they say over there, in their pocketbook, which is their wallet. And so when that starts to happen and it starts to bite, then the Americans, obviously, as being the biggest oil producer in the world, they could ramp up their production as they've done in the past. But there'll still be market forces in place that will raise prices, and that means inflation will go up and prices will go up in other areas too. So it's not just the oil, it's the oil and the knock-on effect from that price rise worldwide. So they can't be totally immune to it. And certainly it'll affect businesses, because if the prices go up in the rest of the world, America has customers. The customers won't buy because they haven't got the money to buy. And so they will be struggling in that way. So they've created this problem. And how can it be fixed? Well, that is the only way I think that he'll come out. He'll go, well, we've done what we did. We decapitated it. Leave it up to the Iranians now to sort it out. And he'll just leave them. He'll leave, even though he promised, I'm coming in to help you so you can get your country back, blah, blah, blah. He won't. Because as soon as the heat gets hot in the kitchen, which is what will happen, he'll pull out.
I think the Iranians can force it. I think there is a way for the Iranians to force America out of the Gulf. And that is by attacking the desalination plants. They attack desalination plants. Apparently, without desalination plants,
there's no water.
Cities in the Gulf Arab states only got 2 weeks of water, and that's it. So I think
would they do that to their fellow Arab?
Well,
brothers?
You don't want to because it's the final sort of, if you like, nuclear option, but not But
yeah.
You can. What if I were advising them? I would send my missiles close to the desalination plants, close enough to let them know that I could have. And you've got a set amount of time, say 3 months, to get the Americans gone. Because when I come back in 3 months' time, I will take them out. Because that'll be your problem, not a me problem at that stage. And once they've got rid of the, they've got a Sunni. They're so not thinking. You know, I don't understand the Iranians. They've got a Sunni monarchy in Bahrain. Okay? Bahrain is 20% Sunni and 80% Shia.
Yeah.
The monarch is a Sunni. And he's got an American base. He's got the biggest, the biggest port, the American port. Is in
Bahrain,
that's the one that was hit in Bahrain. Okay?
Not Qatar. It was Bahrain then. Okay.
No, Qatar is the airfield.
Ah, the airfield is in Qatar. Okay.
Yeah, but the port is in Bahrain. It's an island.
Okay.
So the Bahraini monarch is in place because from time to time when the Shia population gets upset with him, he sends off to Saudi Arabia, and then they send troops to Bahrain, as they've just done today or yesterday. They send troops to Bahrain to help keep the monarch in his position apart. From the Saudis, yes. How do they get there? They get there by bridge. Why are those bridges standing? You want to get rid of the Bahraini monarch because with the Shia leader in Bahrain, the Americans would have to leave because they tell them, no, you're not welcome here. That would solve a lot of your problems. The first thing you do is take out the bridges, man. Why don't you do that?
I don't know. I'm still unsure as to why some of these targets are hit. It's strange, isn't it? It's almost hitting the air bases, which is what they're designed for, in a way. Think about it. If you've got a military
I think they're demonstrating to the Americans that, look, you're not going to be happy because every time there's incoming, people have got to stop what they're doing and run for cover. So what you're just doing is just saying that you're not welcome here and you can't stop, and those missiles actually hit. You can't stop it, and it's going to get worse over a period of time. There'll be more and more drones coming in, just like happened in Ukraine. Was sending more drones to Russia, even after all the bombings and shellings on Ukraine. They're still able to send more and more drones, and Russia is sending more and more drones. So taking that as an example, Iranians will have more and more drones coming over. It's going to get worse. At some point, there's going to be this opportunity task exercise that you do, and you go, is this worth being here for?
Indeed.
I think that's where they're headed.
The drones are cheap, but they're very, very movable and difficult to knock out, and they can produce thousands and thousands of them for next to nothing. So
precisely.
Right.
Not to mention what the Chinese could, if the Chinese decided to start sending drones there, get millions.
Right. Sum up, because we got to the top of the hour.
Yep.
What are the global implications of the Iran conflict? Do you think it's going to be a long, protracted war, or will Trump get bored and realise he's in a lose-lose situation?
I can't tell. It's right now. It's all up in the air. The fog of war and etc. etc. Well, I know that there are two opposing forces. One is the American side, which wants a quick war, and the other is the Iranian side, which just wants to survive. They don't have to win. They're not trying to. They're not even trying to win. They don't have to try to win. They just have to survive.
Yeah.
And they win that way.
I think they will survive, and I think the Americans will have to step back because of the economic pressure rather than sort of on the battlefield. And I think that it will be that pulls them back. And Trump, will claim a win somehow, or try and frame it in a way it's a win. But in all intents and purposes, it will be a loss and an embarrassment for no need, for no reason. And his popularity will be so damaged that he will lose the Senate and the House of Representatives. They will be decimated. I really do believe when the midterm happens, there'll only be tiny little pockets of Republicans left in the whole of the Senate. It will be decimated, and it will be such a swing to the Democrats that Trump will be a lame duck for the next 2 years. He'll be a squealing puppet in the presidency, unable to do a single thing, because the Senate will be pinning him down at every opportunity. And he's caused this himself with his stupidity. That's just my opinion, but that's what I think will happen.
I wonder if he won't end up being impeached.
It's quite possible after the midterms, yeah, because the majority will be there. And in fact, it will be such a big majority that they won't even need to rely on the Republicans to help them get past the threshold of 2/3 of the Senate to vote. And so, yeah, he could be in really big trouble. And this is the catalyst of his way down, which, in my opinion, is about time. Anyway,
I know, but I want to finish with just one more thing. That all depends, of course, on who's in the Epstein files. Because it seems to be no one really wanted to produce these files. So it seems to me that both sides are tainted.
Oh, indeed.
Which means there won't actually be what you and I expect, which would be it'll be impeached. I'm not sure that would be the case, because it depends.
There'll be some who won't, but I agree. You're right. It's both sides. It isn't just one Republicans only. It is both sides for sure. Right. If you've loved this episode, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more deep dives into prophecies, mysteries, and the unexplained twists of fate. You've listened to Tony and Tayo, and we are the TNT Talk Show, but unfortunately we have reached the end of the show for another week.